So what exactly is the stock market, and how are companies involved? First, we need to answer the question, what is a stock? A stock is an investment in a company where when you purchase and own one, you are actually buying and owning a very small part of that company you bought the stock from. The tiny slice of the company you have just bought is known as a share. What is an investment? In simple terms, investing is where you spend a certain amount of time or money in the present with hopes and expectations that you will earn more in the future. With stocks, you are buying them with the hope that you can make more money off them with time. Let me give you an example. Let's take the very well-known fast food restaurant McDonald's as an example. McDonald's has its own stocks that you can purchase. When you purchase one of their stocks, it's like you own a very tiny slice of their company. Now, pause and watch the video in this link before moving on. So what have you learned in this video? You should have learned about supply and demand, which is a term that describes how stock prices move. In simpler terms, it just means how many people want that stock and how much of that stock there is. One other thing you should have gotten from that video is to make your prices reasonable when you are selling a stock, meaning that you should set your price near to the market price or whatever it is worth at that moment. People may not be able to buy that stock you are selling if it is too expensive, but you will lose money if you make your stock too cheap. Moments when you can sell your stock for higher prices can be when that company is suddenly doing extremely well or is making significantly more profit. Still, you need to decide whether you sell that stock right away or if you wait until the stock price increases even more. There is still a risk that if you wait too long, the price may start to go down. When a company starts to do poorly or is in debt, the prices may go down and you need to quickly decide whether you are going to sell it right away to avoid losing any more money or if you are going to wait for the company to start to do well again. So what exactly is the difference between a stock and a share? They seem to be similar terms, but let me put it this way. When you own 100 shares, you're basically owning 100 tiny slices of one company. But when you say you own 100 stocks, you're saying that you own tiny slices of 100 different companies. Now let's get to what the stock market actually is. Its definition is just a virtual place where people or investors can buy or sell stocks. There are many companies on the stock market that are public, and some of these you may have heard before. Examples include Walmart, Disney, Netflix, Amazon, and Facebook. You might be wondering why companies put themselves on the stock market. What are the benefits to allowing so many people own tiny slices of their company? By putting a company on the market, investors can buy their shares, meaning that they can use their own money to fund some of the expenses that the company needs immediately or in the present. Let me show you what I mean. Let's take an example, but this example can apply to all companies. Why would Netflix put themselves on the stock market? Well, they might need more money for advertising and marketing since it can be expensive. They might need more money to make their website and app nicer or better for their customers as well. These are all things that they need to do now and might not have all the money to do. That's why they turn to their investors who buy their shares and pay for these funds. Now, pause the video and think of some other reasons why Netflix might put themselves on the market, but this time try to be more specific to their company than my last examples. Now that we know why companies put themselves on the market, let's talk about what you get from investing in their company. The first benefit is receiving dividends. Many companies will pay their shareholders dividends every now and then, which are payments that come from a small portion of profit a company makes. This is like a reward for investing in their company. Another benefit you get from investing in a stock is capital gains. This basically just means that whenever you buy a stock, there is a chance the price will increase if the company is doing well. When the stock price goes up by a good amount and you think it is a good time to sell that stock, you can make profit from selling a stock for a higher price than you originally bought it for. Still, while investing has its benefits, there are also risks that come with it. One is the opposite of capital gains, meaning that you may lose money if you invest in the wrong stocks. When one of the companies you are investing in suddenly begins to do poorly or suddenly loses a ton of money, you lose the money you had originally paid for buying their stocks. In a situation like that, it is up to you to decide whether you sell it before the price drops even more, or if you hold onto it and hope that things turn around. Another risk is that you can never be 100% sure that a stock you buy will perform well. What I mean is that while you can predict if a company is going to grow and keep making profit, you never know when a situation might suddenly change in a negative way. For example, if you invest in a small company that just took off, there is a chance that company could do super well, but also a chance it might completely fail. A positive example is when Snapchat was only a small company and someone who would have invested $15,000 towards it in stocks made over $34 million later on when Snapchat became extremely popular and successful. Still, there was always that risk that Snapchat could have failed. Now, I want you to do some review. Pause the video and list out the pros and cons to investing in the stock market. Now, let's talk about investment strategy. Obviously, there is a ton of risk when you are investing in stocks, but there are several ways you might be able to lower your chance of crumbling when a situation becomes negative. The first strategy is to invest in stocks from different categories so that when one fails in one category, you have other stocks from other categories to rely on. Another strategy is to not always sell your stocks as soon as they begin to perform poorly, nor should you sell them right when prices increase. There is always a chance the price could suddenly become worse, but there is also a chance the price could become better in both situations. It's up to you to decide how much of a risk you want to take. So how exactly do you know which stocks you should buy? A good strategy would be to first look at the EPS, which stands for earnings per year. This basically tells you an estimate of how much profit you will gain from one stock of that company in a year with their current situation. You can also look at the market cap, which is how much the company is worth. In other words, it is the stock price multiplied by how many shares are available. Although a larger market cap may mean that the company is more stable, it also tends to mean that the stock grows much slower than other companies and that the stock will be expensive to buy. What else should you look for? The most important one would probably be the PE ratio. This stands for the price-earning ratio and will tell you how expensive a stock is. When a company has a higher ratio, it means that the stock is more expensive. If the company is doing very well or has a large market cap, it deserves a higher PE ratio. But if a company is small or not doing too well and has a small PE ratio, it is still not a great idea to invest in it despite it being cheaper. Make sure that when you compare these ratios and factors, you only compare them with companies in the same industry. Different industries and sectors have different patterns. Here are two other extremely important factors. Some companies don't pay a good or reasonable dividend. Look for whether or not the company pays a fairly nice dividend. Also look at their trends of revenue and stock growth, both short-term and long-term. If a stock has been declining in price over a 5-year range, it may not be the best stock to invest in, unless it seems to be turning around in the past year. But it is up to you to decide what to do. Try using Yahoo Finance or other resources to look up all these factors that I just talked about and compare them to other companies in that same industry. Now let's do a bit of review. Try to answer these following questions. What does the market cap tell you? What does EPS tell you? And what does the PE ratio tell you? Pause the video and try to answer these questions. Now, here are the answers. Now it's your turn. Try to decide which stock is better. I have for you Company A and Company B. Try to compare the different factors we just talked about. Remember that there is no right answer, but make sure that you have a good reason and support for your choice. So I've been talking about sectors and industries a lot. What exactly is a sector? There are a few in the stock market, but in simple terms, it is a category of the market that shares a similar or related product or service. Examples can be the energy sector, the technology sector, or healthcare sector. Now, what is an industry? An industry is a specific group within a sector that categorizes businesses based on what they do, similar to a sector but more specific. Examples include the construction industry, the water industry, or the cosmetics industry. As mentioned before, don't forget this very important tip. Invest in multiple stocks from different sectors and industries. This is called having a diverse portfolio. In case one sector or industry suddenly crashes or fails, you have many other companies to look to. Here is a crossword puzzle to help us review what we've learned today. Pause the video and try to solve it. And here are the answers to the crossword puzzle. Now it's your turn. Please go to the link provided and register for an account, which only takes around 30 seconds, and then start practicing trading. You'll see pages of stocks for you to buy and sell along with their statistics so that you know what to purchase. Now you can try it for yourself. You can even share codes with your friends and have them join you in competing to see how your stocks perform. I hope you learned so much more about stocks and investment through my presentation. Now have fun trading.